Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for our final daily unstable spoiler video. So just this morning, a little while ago, Wizards released the full unstable set, which is like over 100 new cards, so many cards, which means we can't talk about everything. So instead of trying to go through hundreds of cards, we're just going to talk about a handful of interesting cards, some mythic, some cool flavor cards, stuff like that. And then, if you want to see all the unstable spoilers and look at the whole set, make sure to head over to the MTG Goldfish spoiler page on the website where you can browse through the whole unstable set, sort by rarity and color and all that kind of good stuff. So check that out too. Let me know in the comments what cards we didn't talk about that are your favorite or that you're really excited to play with. Anyway, let's jump into it. Talk about a few more unstable cards. First off, we have a card that has been hyped for a long time, a vanilla mythic. There has never been a vanilla mythic in the history of Magic. Mark Rosewater promised it was coming this year, and the set that brings us the vanilla mythic is unstable. And our vanilla mythic is Infinity Elemental, 7 mana, 5 toughness, and an infinite amount of power. So it is as big as you want it to be, as big as it possibly can be, so big that we don't even know how big it is. Basically, if you ever hit your opponent with an Infinity Elemental, you just win the game on the spot. There is no end to its power, which is super sweet. It means even if your opponent gains infinite life, you could just deal infinite damage and you end up winning the game anyway. So a really cool, flavorful card. I mean, it's obviously scary. How much different is it than a 25 mythic if it was 20 power and 5 toughness? Not considerably different in most games, but it's still super powerful, super flavorful. So all you gotta do is like play this and make it unblockable, or play it and fling it at your opponent, and it's a really easy way to win the game. Next on our list, we have a bunch of mythic contraptions, and the contraptions for unstable have been a bit weird. A lot of them look kind of meh and underpowered, but that's because we haven't really seen the mythic ones, because a lot of these ones are super powerful. So remember, normally you're going to get the effect of each of these contraptions once every 3 turns. So you want a pretty good payoff to make it worth it. But the payoff on all of these mythics is actually pretty high. Rapid Prototyper lets you get an XX colorless construct artifact creature, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Contraptions are artifacts, going to be a massive creature, plus it's growing itself. The second one you get on the 3rd turn after you make the first one is going to be a little bigger because you got the first construct, so it's a ton of free value just from cranking your contraptions. Pet Project lets you reanimate a creature from an opponent's graveyard for free every 3rd turn. That's another super powerful ability. You'd probably pay 5 mana just for that effect on a spell, maybe even more than that these days. So free reanimation every 3rd turn makes Pet Project super strong. Finally, we have Fairy Airy, which gives you 2 hasty Fairy Spy creature tokens with flying, and whenever the creatures deal combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. So in theory, every 3rd turn, you're getting 2 1/1s, you're drawing 2 cards, getting 2 damage. Of course, you get to exile the tokens at the beginning of the next end step, but they've done their job. It's like a free divination that comes along with 2 damage, assuming you're getting in the hit with those fairies. So pretty impressed by all of these contraptions. These are the reasons to build a contraption deck. A lot of the other ones, like gain a little life, do a little bit of this, roll a die, put a counter on something. These are the payoffs for contraption.deck. So if you're going to try to build a fun casual contraption deck, make sure to use some of these cards, because these are the most powerful contraptions we've seen so far. Next up, we have one of my favorite cards from the entire set. As luck would have it, another alternate win condition, 1 mana, has hexproof. Whenever you roll a die, you get to put a number of luck counters on As Luck Would Have It equal to the results of the die roll. So if you roll a 6, you get 6 counters, roll a 1, only 1 counter, and then if you get to 100 luck counters, you win the game, which means you could potentially win the game pretty quick in unset constructed, because there's a lot of die rolling cards. This is very similar to Helix Pinnacle, except instead of having to spend mana, all you gotta do is roll dice. So play some die rolling cards, play cards that let you roll more than 1 die, and in the end, you can power this up super quickly once you get your die roll synergies going. So a super sweet card, seems really fun, roll some dice, win the game. We also got Every Thingamajig, which seems like a really fun artifact. It does a lot of cool casual things. 2 mana, 2 mana, you get to move a counter from one thing to another thing, and you can actually change the kinds of counters that are being moved. If the second permanent refers to any kind of counter, the move counter becomes one of those. So if you move a +1/+1 counter from a creature to a Lux Cannon that gets charge counters, or our enchantment that gets luck counters, it turns into the proper kind of counter. Otherwise, it just becomes a +1/+1 counter. Then you can pay 3 and tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on something, and you can pay 4 and tap it to proliferate. So you choose any number of things with counters and add an extra counter to them. So this seems like an awesome card for a counter deck. It can work with creatures by pumping them, can work with non-creatures if you're going on like the charge counter plan. Super fun, great build around to blow stuff up with Lux Cannons and make your creatures bigger and just do all kinds of super fun things. We also got Angelic Rocket, which is probably the most powerful of the host creatures. It's really expensive, 8 mana, you get a 4/4, but whenever it enters the battlefield or when your augment creature triggers, whatever that ability might be, you get to destroy a target non-land permanent. And some of the augment creatures trigger every turn, or every time a non-token creature enters the battlefield. So you get this repeatable destruction of your opponent's best stuff. Seems like a super strong card for the augment/host deck. Really like this one. We also got a couple of sweet flavor cards. Go to Jail, 1 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you exile a creature an opponent controls until Go to Jail leaves the battlefield. At the beginning of the upkeep of the exiled card's owner, that player rolls 2 6-sided dice. If they roll doubles, you gotta sacrifice Go to Jail. So this is obviously a callback to Monopoly and how Monopoly works. It literally works the same way. In Monopoly, if you go to jail, you roll doubles to get out. This works the same way, and it gives you like a Swords to Plowshares type enchantment with a downside that eventually your opponent's gonna roll doubles and get it back, but it's probably gonna take a minute before they actually get their creatures back, and that's a pretty good deal for just 1 mana. So I think that this is not only a really powerful card, but it's a really flavorful card as well, and definitely a win for Unstable. Finally, last but not least, we have Just Desserts, which deals a amount of damage equal to pi. So the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, a little bit more than 3. So this is a really interesting unset way to make a lightning strike type effect. Can't hit players. Most of the time it's going to be exactly the same as playing a lightning strike that can only hit creatures, but there are some situations, like let's say you have a whole bunch of Furnace of Wrath on the battlefield. You can squeeze an extra damage thanks to the pi aspect of the card, which is 3.14 something. Anyway, super sweet, really unique way to make a good for limited card. Like, you probably need a lightning strike effect to make limited work, but still make it unset worthy. So after complaining yesterday about some of the non-unset seeming black border-ish unset cards, really cool to see this card, which manages to take a black border effect, but put a little bit of an unset twist on it by changing the way it's worded. So anyway, those are our daily Unstable spoilers for today, and this brings us to the end of our Unstable spoilers. So head over to the website, look at the Unstable spoiler page, let me know what other cards you like. What do you think about these cards? Are you excited for flinging Infinity Elementals? Are the Mythic contraptions enough to make you want to build a deck about them? How about As Luck Would Have It? Is that a card that your playgroup will let you play and try to win the game by rolling some dice? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what other cards you're looking forward to. Now that we've seen the whole set, are you going to pre-release? How excited for it? Are you buying a box? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.